What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on LeBron James and this witnessing of LeBron James's the, the erosion of his legacy, right? And the leverage that LeBron James once held over the league. At one point in time during the LeBron James career, he was able to dictate like what teams did and how they moved, right? But now, as you just seen with LeBron James signing this $8 million contract and a 2-year $8 million contract, it's just evident that LeBron James has lost a lot of his power and a lot of his leverage. And a lot of times, most of the times when you see older guys in the league, superstars, and they're phasing out, it's a bittersweet occasion, right? On the one hand, you know that they can't perform like they used to, and so that's it is what it is. But on the other hand, you have great memories of these guys because they gave you some great moments throughout their career, right? And so fans want to honor these guys when they're leaving, and not just the fans, but the teams too, right? Because teams want to honor these guys because I mean it's just good business to honor these guys. But the way LeBron James is going out, uh, to me, it's a little bit different than from what I'm used to seeing. Like when Mike went out or Kobe went, especially think about like when Kobe went out and all the fanfare that surrounded Kobe when he went out, and how much his fan base and Kobe fans in general just appreciated him, and they just it was just it was a big to do when Kobe was going out. But the way LeBron James is going out, it almost seems desperate because LeBron James is just trying to flex muscles that he don't have, and he's trying to exercise powers that he no longer have. When at this point in time in his career, it shouldn't even be about that, right? It should be about the fans just really just not just the fans, but like I said, the fans and the teams just really appreciating what LeBron James, you know. And so for the first time in like what 20 years, we're seeing a decline in LeBron James's his leverage. Like teams are no longer they're no longer catering to LeBron James, right? And LeBron James, not that he probably had more power than any other player in NBA history, but he chose to exercise his power differently than what any other NBA player has chosen to do, right? They refer to LeBron James some as a player slash general manager, right? When a lot of times, most of the time back in the day, when you had a player, the only time a player tried to really flex their power is when they were trying to get a team to light a fire under a team to get them to bring in some more help for them so they could win, right? That was it. But other than that, most players throughout history have been, they've been like they have allowed general managers to do their job while they just play. And but this era right here was different. I think I've seen more players because of this player empowerment era. I've seen more players try to take on the role of player slash GM, and LeBron James being the leader in that, right? I've seen Giannis try to do that to a certain extent, and like I said, LeBron James. But the thing is, I think players do themselves a disservice when they try to take on two roles like that because most of the time, great players don't mean that don't just because you're a great player don't mean that you're a great general manager, and that's something that LeBron James has found out throughout his career. Now remember when LeBron was with the Lakers, and he wanted to, and he brought in Russell Westbrook, right? It was his idea for them to bring him in, and then so when that didn't work out, LeBron James, being the player slash general manager, didn't want to accept responsibility for that, and he threw it back on the team. Right? It was not his fault; it was the team's fault, and so teams resented that. And I think now at this point in time in LeBron James' career, where everybody know that he don't have the leverage because he's not he's not the player that he used to be. Teams now are just, they're not really, now they realize they don't have to cater to him. They now realize that it is good business now to have LeBron James on your team because of you get the games, you know what I mean? Like your TV contracts, you get more TV games, which I think that's how Philly is going to benefit from having LeBron on their team. They're going to get more TV games, and it makes more revenue for them. But at the same time, it don't mean more revenue for LeBron James, nor does it mean more control for LeBron James. So is uh that is a reflection of how LeBron James chose to manage his career. Because if LeBron James had managed his career the correct way, then it wouldn't look so and I think this worries LeBron James because I think LeBron James realized that he made some mistakes using his leverage the way he used it, whereas though he could have built some type of goodwill with the fan base, general managers, and people around the league. A lot of times these guys, Kobe, Mike, they have been accused of being assholes at different points, right? But you got to have some alliances along the way. You can't burn every bridge, like if you're LeBron James or because in the long run, all this stuff come back on you. Some of the people that you step over or climb over on the way up are going to be the same people that you run into on the way down. You know what I mean? And that's a old saying, but it's true. And some people are just waiting for the opportunity to to get back at LeBron James. And so LeBron James, if he don't realize this right now, he'll be in for a world of hurt. But I think that, like I said, a lot of teams and a lot of people not really big fans of LeBron James. I think the biggest mistake that LeBron James made, besides leaving Cleveland that first time, I think the biggest mistake he made was turning his back on his fan base. Like as a player, as an athlete, that's where your power is. And you turn your back on your fan base and you take the side of like corporations. When corporations are done with you, that fan base is not going to be there for you. And so I think that this is something that's going to come back and haunt LeBron James once he's away from the league. And it was something that he didn't really have to do. LeBron James have a few fans, but for the most part, man, fans are not really buying into the narrative that LeBron James is putting out there. And so he has been throughout his career, in my opinion, ever since he left. Ever since he left Cleveland the first time, LeBron James has been more of a polarizing figure than somebody who has been captivating, and building a brand the right way. He prioritized success in the now and in the present over building a brand that was going to sustain him even after his NBA career. So what happens to LeBron James once he separates from the NBA? Once he's out of the league, the league, there's no motivation or no incentive for the league to continue to pump this narrative that they're pumping about LeBron James, because they don't make any money off of it anymore. As long as LeBron James is in the league and he's polarizing, then that's a storyline that they could sell. But LeBron James won't be in the league very long, and so that's a storyline that's going to fade out, and then the NBA will be on to a new storyline and a new narrative with younger talent. You got guys like Victor Wembanyama coming up the ranks. What's the other guy? Shea Gilgeous coming up the rank, and then who knows who else, like somebody, like the public or the league might fall in love with, right? So LeBron James had 24 years to build his brand, to build his fan base, and he didn't do it. He turned his back on his fan base, and now when you see LeBron James accept $8 million in his last year, where I made a video talking about how Michael Jordan in his last 2 years, he signed each one of those last 2 years, well, his last two championship years, he signed contracts worth $30 million per year, right? And here you got LeBron James signing an $8 million contract. So to me, it just goes to show that LeBron James mismanaged his career. And the closer and closer he gets to retirement, the more and more it becomes apparent. So that's my take on it. Make sure, like I said, to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.